Well, yeah, he was.
What they ask, It's that guy.
Ahead by one. Did you have to move all? Yeah.
Loved it. So hopefully I just
Too much in and out of doctor's office. I was killing time. Just it was quick. My phone.
Do you still want to do that?
Yeah, she's. Allergic reaction. Like, holy cow.
Very little.
About to take an afternoon.
I don't like
Into fitness now, kind of efficient in areas where stream kind of. I don't know.
This was very steep.
Is it just that way?
It drops off a little bit there. I walk. I go.
No, you're good. Hopefully, I'm not live TV. Definitely realize. Is it like a? Did you guys have to hit like a special button to project? I should know this as I work here, but
So he's gonna do
I plugged it into the.
Behind the courthouse right now. I'm hoping that that's sufficient. So we'll see what happens.
Gotta love technology. It's
How to work this?
just the best.
Do you know how to fix this?
Is it the adapter? I think it might be the adapter. All right, perfect. I can go steal one from me.
All right. Well, what if we just went directly?
Yeah, I mean, our
You good, Alex? Good?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Before we open up tonight's meeting, we're going to have a
stand?
presentation by our city engineer regarding the rain garden at Lake Ave and Cove Street.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having us. I'm city engineer Alex Ruzicki here with Devin Herrick at Weston and Sampson. We do have a great discussion on the Horn Pond fish ladder that'll be upcoming once you all have a quorum. But as a nice time filler and refresher, I thought we'd give a little bit of an update on the Horn Pond rain garden and parking lot improvements that we're looking at now. I'm joined with Brian in my office, and there's a team behind us as well. As you guys are aware, Horn Pond parking lot is located at the south end of Horn Pond in Woburn, next to the water treatment plant. The area of this project that we're primarily focusing on is the existing 65 or so parking lot, parking spaces, and the awkward configuration and layout of the current parking lot at Horn Pond. With the fish ladder coming to the city, ideally, I see a demand increase in the parking spots that are already full from day-to-day operations down there. And we see this as a great opportunity while we're in the area working. This is just for the fish. This is just for the parking lot, right?
This is just for the parking lot.
I'll let you take over for
Absolutely, yeah. So you folks may remember, but this has actually been before you before, in particular for the rain garden that's proposed located in between the parking lot and Horn Pond. It was issued back on December 14th, 2020. It was extended, so the order is still valid. So we're going to be coming back seeking an amendment to the improvements to the parking lot that Alex was just describing. So just as a little refresher for that original project, rain garden, again, right off Lake Avenue, adjacent to Horn Pond, but in between Horn Pond and the parking lot. It would serve to capture and treat stormwater, ultimately aid in the management of stormwater and improve the water quality that's entering Horn Pond and then ultimately Horn Pond Brook. As a little refresher again for those original impacts, we were looking at 1,540 square feet of work area within bordering land subject to flooding. No volume being added, actually material being removed. And again, that same area being impacted because it is located within the 100-foot buffer to bank of Horn Pond. This was the original plan set that was approved as part of the project. So you can see the grading that's occurring as part of that rain garden. And,
we're really just looking to utilize the existing space between the parking lot and the pond as it exists today. And then we'll kind of go into what we're looking at moving forward here.
Absolutely. So some of the proposed changes, as Alex was mentioning, we've got a really exciting Horn Pond Fish Passage project that we're going to be discussing with you. We anticipate some added visitor traffic in a parking lot that's already a little challenging to access. So the city's looking to reorganize that existing parking lot and adjust the rain garden to handle any proposed parking changes. It's still in those initial design phases, but we anticipate coming before you in the next month or so. Just to clarify, the project would not encroach any further towards Horn Pond, and the project would be seeking to limit any increase to impervious area and just really reconfigure how those spaces are located within that existing lot.
I'll say limit, but definitely not none. So if we're familiar with the existing parking lot, there's two kind of awkward proponents of the parking lot. When you first pull in on the northeast side of the parking lot where the proposed handicap spots would be located in the future, there's that bump out, bullnose, whatever you want to call it. That is out just about within jurisdiction, and the wetland lines aren't on here as we finalize the plans here, but engineering is sort of tasked with finding the more optimal layout. So if we take out that curvature and the existing curvature to the left side on the west side, closer to the treatment plant, we're looking at about 2,000 square foot of pavement, but the removal of that actually allows us to add about 30 spots, just by basically allowing for double head-in parking as opposed to the existing angular parking and parallel parking down the center line. It allows for a 24-foot lane width, and there's a little bit of work on the upstream side outside of the jurisdictional area that would take about 5 feet of moving the curb back, which we kind of started the process as part of the sidewalk improvements that we did out there last year. So at this point, you're really looking at a proposal and a design idea, and we're open to feedback and suggestions of, this is a potential increase in the linear feet of the rain garden and an additional volume captured to account for whatever we can of the pavement, knowing that with the height of the groundwater there, this rain garden is a little bit limited in its phosphorus removal, which is something we, as a city, definitely need to focus more on with the potential upcoming TMDL at Horn Pond particularly. But we just thought with the fish ladder coming forward, this is a good time to sort of look at how we use this parking lot and any improvements that we could put into the parking lot as we're sort of impacting it and going forward to construction. So right now, this is what you're probably looking at is an amended order for a rain garden and an increase in square footage of impervious that essentially balances out between the two parties. And we will be required to put in handicap parking. So with the existing 62 spots in handicap and layout, we probably go down to 55 spots. We lose a couple with the handicap spots. And in this configuration, we increase parking by 50% and go up to 5 handicap spots and 93 spots in total. So again, this is an informal discussion, but I don't know if we're allowed to take questions or we just sort of leave you with that and say, see you in a couple weeks. I don't know where we go from there. That's the last slide, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So the meeting hasn't formally been opened right now, but we do currently have a quorum, so we could open the public meeting, and then if anybody has any questions, can
Yeah, I'd
ask
like
them.
to,
And otherwise, we can move
I'm
on
happy to also just take all questions on the fish ladder and the parking lot and let the fire station kind of start back up unless you want to do it. on
Yeah, I
just the
mean,
park-
that's,
whatever you want to do.
So our
Right. Well, first, I apologize for being late, and so with that, I'd like to open the public meeting for January 29th, 2026 for the Woburn Conservation Commission, and I thank you for, it looks like you skipped ahead to our informal, thank you. And so with that, the meeting is open, and then I guess, do we want to take some questions?
Yeah, my only question would be, how are we capturing that extra impervious? Is it all going to the rain garden? Is some of it not?
Yeah, the rain garden's limited by depth to groundwater. So the rain garden is going to be maximized to the extent of the available real estate, essentially. So what we'll do when we come back in 3 weeks is we'll essentially be able to back into a design storm or a stormwater event that we can capture. I don't know if we can capture the first inch of storm, but I'm hopeful that we can capture some percentage of the first flush into the rain garden before it enters the pond. Whatever we do is obviously an improvement. So I understand the balancing act between adding impervious and maximizing the rain garden to the extent practicable is a discussion and sort of a back and forth that we're happy to be a part of, essentially. But we'll provide the storage capacity and treatment capability of what we can when we come back. I don't have that today.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the commission?
Chair, I have one question. Alex, thanks, and thank you for bringing this forward. Just a question of something that you might want to think about. Over on the far left, where you're talking about doing some work over in that area, that is a boat launch that's over there. And so have you taken into consideration the fact that folks are going to be coming in with vehicles with boats in tow, and they're going to want to back down onto that boat ramp? Is there anything proposed here that's going to impede that ability to launch boats in the boat launch?
Yeah, so I tried to leave the boat launch alone, but if there's an appetite to sort of open up the whole area, I don't know, I assume the city owns the boat launch, but to answer the question, the 24-foot lane width between parking now is a significant increase from the current configuration, and the layout for the rain garden will be minimized to basically match the parking stalls as you see now, so it won't encroach any further from today's existing condition. And basically, we've essentially carried those parking stalls as long as we could so that there's no issues getting out of there. But it's, to review, a boat or a larger, I don't know how big the boats are coming in and out of there, but it's certainly something we'll have to look at and consider as we sort of finalize the plan here. We didn't want to take any of their space or that space when we kind of considered this project, but I appreciate the heads up.
I just have one quick question. With the increase in impervious area, has it been discussed at all, considered, it would be the city, I'm assuming, that would maybe take up a little extra cleaning of the lot? Would that seem to help? If we could just sweeping type of stuff to...
Yeah, I think those things being conditional or part of the project, I think we all sort of know that parking lot's ready for a fresh coat of pavement, and it'd be a shame to not have it done when the fish ladder comes in, and sort of that was the impetus into looking at, is this the best use of our space? And so whatever we do is going to be an improvement from the situation on the shoreline now and the status of the parking lot and the pavement. So it all really just came together at the right time with the fish ladder. And again, if that's something that we need to put more maintenance into as we deal with phosphorus in the city, I think that's a fair request and something we could consider.
Thank you. Anyone else with any questions? Or we don't open it to the public, I assume?
No, I mean, this is just an
Yep.
informal presentation, so I would say at this point, we could probably proceed with the regular agenda.
All right, and move up then.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. All right, one thing I didn't mention when I opened is this meeting is being recorded, and if you could silence any devices, that would be appreciated. So on our agenda, we have, we didn't do the cancellation.
Oh, no, we should do that, though. It's just, yep.
That first. So first, we have under public hearings, 2A, we have 83 Commerce Way LLC TJX Company for 83 Commerce Way. The public hearings being requested by the applicant to be continued to February 26th of this year. So with that...
Move to continue the public hearing at the applicant's request to February 26, 2026.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or any abstentions? Ayes carry. Thank you. All right, so next on the public hearing agenda is the City of Woburn for Locust 240 Lexington Street. Notice of intent for DEP 348-0896, construction of a fire station. And if you wouldn't mind signing in and state your name for our note taker, please.
Jamie McCarthy with Horsley Witten Group, environmental scientist. I'll be presenting the notice intent for the Fire Station 5 proposal today.
Steve Stanish, Horsley Witten Group, senior engineer, introducing and explaining the stormwater component of the fire station.
Okay, so,
You going to be using it here? Are you going to show on the book? Okay, I'm going to
Yep.
get out of your way.
yeah, we had some printouts. I think we passed a few around. That's easier for you all to look at.
Thank you. For sure.
Yep, in partnership with Danisco Design, Mitchell Associates Architects, and the City of Woburn, we are presenting on behalf of the city today the applicant for the notice of intent for Fire Station 5. So this is the site location. The parcel outside is outlined in red. That is the Reeves Elementary School parcel. And the area that was surveyed for this project is outlined in purple. The need is for a modern, centrally located fire station to meet the national response time standards and ensure effective service coverage. The Four Corners section is kind of center there, a little bit to the north of the site. The That's where we're trying to be closest to for this fire station location. The fire station itself is going to be a 2-story, 3-bay building with separate firefighter living and administrative space. There'll be dedicated space for apparatus, traffic, and circulation, and dedicated parking for staff and visitors. So the need for the fire station is to replace the existing Station 5, which has a number of complications, increased development in the response zone, which is including that Four Corners area we were looking at and the west side of Woburn, has led to increased demand for reliable and timely emergency response. The existing facility that you're looking at here was built in the 60s, and it doesn't meet the current operational safety or regulatory standards. And those include the zoning setback requirements, the bay size clearance and circulation standards. It lacks the necessary site access to allow for circulation that's necessary for the safe emergency response for these fire trucks. And it doesn't have the separation of living and contaminated gear spaces. Currently, it doesn't meet the OSHA health and safety expectations for workflow separation. The site itself is constrained by streams on either side, so this particular location wasn't a favorable place for us to rebuild the existing station. This site and several others listed here were evaluated for potential locations to put the new fire station. As I said already, the limited space, the environmental resources on the existing Station 5 site eliminated that as a good alternative, as a good option. The next 4 here were all farther away from the district center than they would like to be. The Gonzalez Tennis Park tennis courts were also too small of a location to put this necessary modern facility that they need. The Joyce Soccer Field area also has additional topography and rocky substrate constraints. The traffic from the soccer fields was a major concern for that site as well. And there's also utility infrastructure that there would be an interference with that particular location. The Shaker Glen area is sort of the only one that's close enough and large enough, but there is an ongoing ecological restoration project. So the permitting there would have been complex and the environmental impacts would have been far greater. So for that reason, our site at the Reeves Elementary School parcel was the selected option. There are a number of mitigation and safety measures that we are implementing with the design. So through the construction period, there will be security fencing around the entire construction zone. There won't be any construction staging or worker parking or material storage within the school lot. The work hours are going to be limited so they don't interfere with school operations or holidays. There will be dust control, noise management, vibration monitoring throughout the entire construction period. There will be a start of work that's anticipated on July 1st, and that's to allow for the initial access through the actual school lot to not interfere with school operations, and that's only to install the erosion and sediment controls that are necessary to be installed before work can start on that separate access you see. That is where construction vehicles will be accessing after that is actually constructed enough so that vehicles can use it. So when it's operational, there's a number of separation and safety measures as well. That includes the separation of apparatus movements, the truck movements that will occur independently of Reef School circulation areas. They'll be able to exit and enter through that new curb cut that's giving them access to Lexington Street. There'll be enough space for the vehicles to turn around. The sirens will only be activated when absolutely necessary, and the shift changes won't overlap with existing school arrival and dismissal times. So this is a map of the site, a little closer up, the aerial view that you can see. Might look familiar from the ANRAD that we filed back in the fall. The resource areas that were identified and approved under that order of resource area delineation include the resource areas that are all associated with that one unnamed perennial stream at the back of the property. The bordering vegetated wetlands, inland bank, land under water bodies and waterways, riverfront area, and the buffer zones. You can see those here. This is our existing conditions plan. Should also look familiar. The green are the bordering vegetated wetlands. The stream itself is in blue. These are the proposed conditions. The design was, of course, to prioritize staying as far away from resource areas as possible, staying out of resource areas as much as possible. There is a little bit of new information from the recent traffic study that PAR has been working on. They will need to cut back a little bit of vegetation, about 15 feet on either side of the access. And that's to allow for safety for the vehicles to go in and out, sight lines, and the distance that they have calculated. Means that there needs to be only low-growing vegetation immediately adjacent to that access. Another thing that you'll see on here is the crosswalk. There will be improvements to that existing crosswalk. The southern one will be eliminated, and the northern one will get flashing lights. So the proposed impacts, you can see the buffer zones, riverfront area a little more clearly on this graphic. There are riverfront area impacts and buffer zone impacts. And the buffer zone, the 0 to 25-foot no disturb zone, most of those are restorative in nature. A little bit is near the access. So I'll show you a little bit more on the next slide. What this buffer zone looks like now and what the riverfront area, they're overlapping resource areas. So the construction period precautions that will be implemented are, of course, erosion and sediment controls. There will be tree preservation and protection. I'll show you that a little bit more on the landscape plan next. And the long-term improvements include all of the things that the performance standards under the riverfront area redevelopment, performance standards in the Wetlands Protection Act asked for. And that includes debris removal and conversion of the turf grass to natural conditions. So those natural conditions are going to be adding topsoil. The performance standards specify that you can't just throw seed down, you need to actually plant varied vegetation, so that has to include herbaceous layer as well as shrubs and trees. So there will be all 3 layers of vegetation in the landscape plan, which we'll look at next. And then Steve will get a little bit more into the grading improvements, and that is to reduce runoff and improve infiltration. So we are meeting and far exceeding the numbers that we would need to under those performance standards. There's that 10% threshold for the redevelopment. So the degraded areas at this site were calculated to be 4%, and that's all of the paved surfaces, all of the roads and parking lot. And we were allowed to have up to 6% more degradation in the riverfront area under those performance standards. We exceeded that by 1,720 square feet. And if you do the math to have the amount of area that's going to be restored, you're at 13 to 1 for that alteration and beyond. And for a newly altered area, we're exceeding 1 to 1 as well, 1.5 to 1. So the restoration area itself is 22,630 square feet. The newly altered area will be 14,920 square feet. And this is what that restoration will look like. The trees you see, we're trying to put as close to the actual riverfront as possible. The no disturb zone here, if you could go back to the next slide, the previous slide, to point out that is what we're looking at in the 2 bottom pictures there. The turf grass that's maintained by the city right now for that baseball field goes right up to the river's edge, and there's chain link fence all around it, and that will be removed, and that will all be restored with these plantings that you see here. I have some numbers on the trees if you'd like to get into that. But I think at this point I'll let Steve talk about the stormwater.
All right. So the stormwater on the site in the existing condition, what you're seeing up here is the proposed condition. The existing condition of the site is currently some woods and a baseball field. So when storm events happen currently, you have water falling on that field, and eventually it flows southerly toward that wetland stream at the bottom side of this slide. In the proposed, so what we did is we took a look at what hits the wetland area to the lower left corner of this slide, the bordering vegetated wetland to the right side of this slide, as well as to the existing 60-inch culvert that goes under Lexington Street. We looked at those 3 components. In the proposed condition, our aim was to reduce the peak runoff from this proposed site of these improvements that lead toward that 60-inch existing culvert. What you're seeing in purple are existing pipes on site. So draining to that culvert is the wetland itself, as well as a catch basin that sits in the driveway of the Reeves School. In the proposed condition, we are actually reducing the driveway width of the Reeves School. That was part of our analysis for the traffic. And we are installing a secondary catch basin and a water quality unit within that area prior to going to that existing culvert. On the main site here, we have a couple of components to keep that stormwater on site. We have deep sump catch basins. What you see are blue dots up there, a light teal dot that you're seeing. Those are water quality units. So anything prior to infiltration that we're capturing is going to a deep sump catch basin, then to a water quality unit prior to any infiltration. This is important because we're trying to hit a pre-treatment percentage for our total suspended solids prior to infiltration on site, because we are in a critical area of the Horn Pond watershed. The two major systems on site include a subsurface stormwater system number 1, which is in the back parking area of this station, and an infiltration basin that is just south of this proposed station. We are keeping the same drainage pattern on site. Water will flow to the stormwater system first, overflow into the infiltration basin, or it will go to, when you're looking at the front side of the station, it'll go directly to the infiltration basin. In both of these systems, it will infiltrate into the ground. During larger storm events, that infiltration basin will overtop, and it will flow naturally southerly toward that wetland space. Looking at the 3 locations where runoff was leaving the site, that as I said, that bordering vegetated wetland, as well as that wetland area to the lower left, and then the existing culverts that you see in purple. Again, we are reducing runoff as it leaves that site to that existing culvert, and we are making sure we're not adversely affecting our downstream neighbors.
So I think take questions. I have a lot more numbers I can give you, but I don't want to keep talking about numbers unless they're the ones you want to hear. So,
Anyone in the group have any questions?
Yeah, I had a couple. What are the plans for the current station? Do you know offhand?
that I'm not sure. No.
No current plans.
Okay. Just to keep in the back of your mind, if the station was to be taken down, that might be a source of mitigation for this project. So numbers you might be able to use. I do have some concerns with some of the geotechnical work that was done out there. I'm just going to read this one paragraph, and then I'll... the generalized soil profiles provided in our report are based on widely spaced subsurface explorations and are intended only to convey trends in the subsurface conditions. And then I'm just going to skip down. The nature and extent of variations between these explorations may not become evident until further exploration or construction. If variations or other latent conditions then become evident, it will be necessary to reevaluate the conclusions and recommendations of this report. So, and then that kind of then brings me to the infiltration that you're proposing on site. There was only basically there was four test borings on site. Only one of them was in the stormwater system number 1. There was one there. The stormwater handbook recommends that there 3 are done per infiltration basin. There was none that were performed in infiltration basin number 1, the one below us in the blue. I'm concerned that that there weren't enough borings done to evaluate the soils that we have there. I was curious about how the seasonal high water was established, the estimate.
Yeah. So, as Jerry
Yep.
has said, there were 4 total test pits that were done on site. They may be showing on the existing conditions slide. They vary across the site. There was 1 in the baseball diamond, and then there were 2 to the left of that baseball diamond field. In that geotechnical report, there is shown to be a seasonal high groundwater based on those observations at each of those locations. From that, we were able to map what the seasonal high groundwater looked across the site, as well as the condition of the soil. This site in general sits at about elevation 70, where that baseball field is, and the adjacent grade of the roadway is also at 70, but the school driveway sits up at 81. This area where this fire station is going in, the finished floor elevation of the fire station is at 73. And that driveway in that back parking lot is a driveway that the lowest part of the parking lot sits just under 73, and it ramps up all the way to 81 to meet that school driveway. Where we're putting in that subsurface infiltration is currently above grade, so we were making sure that we were out of the seasonal high groundwater because it is a fill condition of where we're putting this in. So we're maintaining that separation from estimated seasonal high groundwater. And within that infiltration basin, using the test pits that span across this site, we feel we were able to make a good estimate of what that seasonal high groundwater was across this site. The bottom of that infiltration basin actually sits, I believe, at current grade or 1 foot below, but it's still, it is still 2.5 feet, I believe, above seasonal high groundwater.
I had it at about 2 feet 3 inches. But
Yep.
I was curious about whether or not the drought conditions, I think we were basically in some sort of a drought at the time of those borings.
I know the drought started like days after I was out there, and I think that was July. And the borings were done.
The borings were done, I believe, in
November.
November, yes. I think we were outside of that drought condition. We were no longer in a drought condition, but it should say in that geotechnical report as well. if we
I
were.
didn't see that. If you could find that
Yep.
for me somewhere. Doesn't have to be right now, but
Yeah, I will look into it and
Okay.
have an answer for you.
thank you. And again, as far as the number of test borings, you're satisfied that, I mean, right out of the handbook, it's take 1 soil boring or dig 1 test pit for every 5,000 square feet of basin area with a minimum of 3 borings for each infiltration basin. So there was 1 in the upper infiltration system, and then there was none down in the lower one. I just don't see how that's meeting what we need to see.
So when we were looking at this design, we were looking to keep this infiltration basin out of close proximity to those resource areas, but we did want to see how that infiltration and that seasonal high groundwater looked across the entirety of the site. One of the things that can be done to accommodate that concern would be test pits during construction to confirm seasonal high groundwater for that infiltration basin.
Teresa, could that be conditioned that way?
That would,
I'm sorry, I wasn't just trying to listen. I missed what you just asked, or what you're what you're asking me.
You suggested
So I can,
what prior to?
so if you're not comfortable with the assessment of that seasonal high groundwater based on the existing borings, an option would be requiring a test pit for that infiltration basin prior to construction of that infiltration basin, that surface infiltration basin, to confirm seasonal high groundwater where it is.
Well, yeah, and again, I would, if there's going to be one done, I mean, again, it recommends that 3 are done. I mean, I'd like to see one done in the upper one, and then maybe 2 in the lower one.
That seems reasonable. That's additional test pits to just map the seasonal high groundwater in site is not an unreasonable ask, so.
And again, this estimated seasonal high groundwater may change with, I think we're in a drought again.
I can comment from a non-engineer's perspective on that. Scientists, looking at soils, the drought conditions are kind of irrelevant because you can tell based on like the coloration of the soils themselves if
Yep.
they're hydric or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not going to change, with the drought, especially not a drought that just started.
I get that, but this is an estimate. It's not, we're not seeing redox and more features, right? So it's an estimate, yeah.
Yeah.
How the borings
So,
work.
so each of those test pits was done by a soil evaluator, and if any, in those test pits, if there was any redoxamorphic signs within that soil, it would be noted.
Right.
If there were not, then that is part of what's taken into consideration for that estimated seasonal high groundwater.
Right, yeah.
So even in a drought condition, if we were seeing water 10 feet below, and you saw redoxamorphic, rust-colored soil, 6 feet below, we would estimate that seasonal high groundwater
Right.
there. So
Yeah, there was no redox, features seen, so.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, did I have anything else on that? I guess that was it on the test pits. I do have a couple more questions, but I'll let other people speak if they'd like.
Anyone else in the commission with any questions at the time? Teresa?
Yeah, I just thank you very much for the all the work that went into preparing the notice of intent. It's very detailed. Really appreciate that. Makes it a lot easier to review it. So thank you. I'm just wondering if you can go a little bit more detail in how the riverfront performance standards are met. So I know that it's section 5 as a redevelopment, so I understand that. And I know it doesn't quite meet some of them, but I think it meets A and B, but not C, D, and E, but then F comes into play. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about the restoration component of that and what is being, if you can show like maybe on the plan, and also what is being restored, how it's being restored, how that's being counted, and how much is in the inner riparian zone versus the outer riparian zone. Just if you could just talk about that a little bit.
So to start, to calculate your riverfront area, the redevelopment standards want to know exactly how much riverfront area you have on site. So that includes the area that extends outside of this limit of work that you see here, and it includes the entire parcel. So on the entire parcel, there's 220,000 and some change square feet of riverfront area, and under those redevelopment performance standards, you're only allowed to have it be degraded up to 10% of the allowable riverfront area on the parcel. So we calculated all of those paved areas as being currently degraded. The degraded definition is clearly defined under the WPA as impervious surfaces that are absent of topsoil. So that's why we selected all the paved areas and the roads, and that added up to our now I have it backwards, was it 6 or 4%?
So just, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what you're saying. So the 10% of the riverfront, that's the amount that can be altered, right? Not
Yeah.
degraded. Okay.
Yeah, well, it has to include the amount of area that's already degraded. So that's why we had to calculate, I know it was 9,850 10.55 square feet that was
Yep.
currently degraded. So that was, I think, 6%. And we were allowed to degrade up to 4% more to get to that 10% threshold, if that makes sense. I think I have it backwards, though.
I think you do have,
Yeah,
yeah, and
4%
I think it's
degraded.
more like 4.5%, but I just want to make sure that the regulations are a little challenging, let's just say.
They are.
So,
These ones are the.
yeah, I mean, you could spend a lot of
ones.
time going over them and making sure it's clear, but I thought that you'd need to, that you could alter up to 10% under, sorry, I don't have that right in front of me right now. 10.585. So you're definitely exceeding that threshold. So I understand that you've already got some degraded areas, and you could, if those degraded areas were greater than 10%, you could alter up to that, but it's less than the 10%. So you still should be able to alter 10%, but then you need to restore at least beyond that, and it seems like you're doing more than that. So I want to make sure that I'm following your numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I have the exact standard here. I don't know if that would help to read.
Yeah, I think you actually put it right in the filing, but yes.
Yeah, that helps because these ones are they're probably the most complicated performance standards to try to meet. So the one that Teresa's talking about is 10.585E. The area of proposed work shall not exceed the amount of degraded area, provided that the proposed work may alter up to 10% of if the degraded area is less than 10% of the riverfront area. So that's what I was trying to explain with it's 4%. So of the entire 220 square feet on the parcel that is riverfront area, the currently degraded existing condition is 4% of that, which is 9,855 square feet. So that means that we have 6% of the riverfront area left to further degrade, provided there's mitigation, of course, under that standard. Does that sound right?
I think I would challenge that math, because if I look at it as the 10% of the overall riverfront area, I come up with 22,001. And then if I subtract from that the degraded area, which is 9,855, I come up with 12,146. So I think that's what's remaining out of the 10%.
Okay. Yeah, and I see we have 13, I wouldn't try to do that in my head right now, but we have
Yeah.
13,200.
Yeah, I think I think there was a rounding issue with the percentages, and that's what,
Okay.
I think that's where that came from.
Yeah.
So I think the number is a little bit off. I still think you may be meeting that. I just want to make sure that everybody understands how that's calculated and what's happening.
Okay.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that 6% that's available to us to degrade might be a little smaller than what is written here. We are still greatly exceeding the 1-for-1 mitigation that would be required we were at, I think, 13-to-1 for the additional altered area beyond that 6% that we're allotted. So we would meet that standard, even if the math is a little off.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if that clarifies, if that fully answers your question, but I can go into the mitigation proposed too.
So the total amount that you're restoring is what?
That was 22,630 square feet of restoration. And the newly degraded area is 14,920. So if you want to take your number.
Yep. So I see the 22,630. Do you have the breakdown of that between the inner and outer riparian zone?
Do I? I believe I do. I'll make sure I'm going to read you the right number. So for existing turf grass within the 0 to 100 foot riparian zone, that was 3,450. within the 0 to 100 of turf grass conversion. And then there's about 8,000 square feet of native vegetated infiltration basin. That's the portion of that is within the 0 to 100.
So all of that is within the first riparian zone then? Is that correct?
So I
Like
think that,
11,450?
The orange aligns with the blue here because the buffer zone extends from the bank. So that line here is what you'd be looking at for the inner riparian zone. And then in here is where we would be calculating that restoration from.
So if you don't have that number right now, that's fine, but if you can provide that, that would be helpful.
I think that might be the 3,450.
Okay, so I see like on page 9 of the narrative, you've got like the riverfront area, the temporary impacts, the permanent impacts. It just would be helpful to also have the restoration in that.
Oh, to have a
table.
restoration breakdown next to it.
Yes, that would be
Yeah,
great.
I'm looking at the paragraph on page 12,
Okay.
talking about the turf grass conversion. Oh, and you know what? I'm sorry. That is just what's within the bioretention basin, within the infiltration basin, I'm sorry. The full extent within the 0 to 100 foot is on page 11, and that's 15,930. And that is overlapping with that approximately
that number.
8,000 square foot basin. And of that is the 3,450.
Okay, and what you're calling turf grass is actually grass, right? It's not like artificial turf? Is that correct?
No, just the maintained grass of the field.
Okay, so does that count as restoration?
If you add topsoil and plant native vegetation and convert it to natural conditions, that's one of the specific performance standards that you can do restoration for. The exact language would be coverage by topsoil at a depth consistent with natural conditions at the site, and seeding and planting with an erosion control mixture, followed by plantings of herbaceous and woody species appropriate to the site. So that's items 3 and 4 of the 4 things you can do for restoration under F, which is where we're compensating for not meeting the other standards. The
Right.
performance standards state if you can't meet these, then see F and G for additional mitigation.
Right. I know that Mass DEP historically has not considered converting lawn to a natural area restoration, so that's why I'm asking. So just, anyway, thank you very much for responding.
If I could just add to that, I don't think DEP considers, I think they consider if there is vegetation that there is topsoil as well. So the addition of topsoil is probably just overkill maybe.
Well, to meet natural conditions, if we wanted to plant things other than that, not so nice looking layer of grass, here it looks a little greener because it's closer to the river on the bottom. At the top, it's dry. I dug some holes in there, and the topsoil layer is very thin. So adding topsoil to meet natural conditions is the language in the WPA, and that's what we would be doing to meet natural conditions, because this, of course, isn't natural. This is a maintained grass area. So the restoration and all the plantings that we're doing are going to have a really positive benefit for the riverfront area, for the river itself, for water quality, for all that native vegetation to be there as a buffer before any runoff gets to the river. So it will be significantly improved with the landscape plan as we're proposing. And I have talked to DEP about these performance standards specifically, and they do frown upon conversion of like lawn, but it's because they want to see the woody vegetation there as well. And we are incorporating that into our landscape plan. At least that's what I've talked to Nero about in the past. That specifically is why they don't like to see lawn conversion. It's because they want to see not just seed throw down, they want to see layers of, restoration. And I think, it certainly makes sense to me that if you are changing a lawn into an area with shrubs and trees and actual native vegetation that is meant to be there, it's going to be a lot better for the riverfront.
Thank you. I appreciate your addressing that. Thank you.
If I could just stay on this, I'm definitely not clear how the 8,000 square foot vegetated infiltration basin would get any credit for restoration, because that's part of your stormwater management.
It is. Yeah, I could see you questioning that overlap. I think I'm looking at item 2 of potential mitigation ideas, grading to a topography which reduces runoff and increases infiltration. And that's kind of exactly what the basin is doing.
Exactly.
So that's one of the items of mitigation that the performance standards under the redevelopment number F that we're working towards, that we're using for our numbers here. But again, even if we cut that out, I would have to redo the math. But I think that we're still greatly exceeding. We're at 13 to 1, which maybe it's more like 12 to 1.
Yeah, I would definitely take that out of the equation, but that's all I really have. Actually, I do have a couple more questions, sorry. As far as TSS removal on the site, there were some units that were only getting 63 to 70, but the average is going to be above the 80 that's required, right? Is that how that worked?
Correct. So every catchment on site, we are looking at, can you switch to the stormwater slide? So of the areas on site, there are some areas that we are not infiltrating water on site, but with that water, we're collecting it via deep sump catch basin and then a water quality unit prior to leaving site. So that is the 44% TSS for those areas. In areas where we are infiltrating on site, we are doing that 44% pre-treatment through those deep sump catch basins as well as those water quality units. Once it hits a subsurface stormwater system or that infiltration basin, there is an additional TSS removal of 80% credited for each of those things.
Okay. The only other question I had was, I couldn't find it on the plans, but it says there's a dry water quality swale. I didn't see that on the plan.
Yes, so due to the topography of the site and the adjacent school driveway, where you look at the school driveway at Lexington Street, that elevation is approximately elevation 70. Where we are meeting that our driveway to the back parking lot of the fire station, it's at elevation 81. So there is an increase in elevation as you run along that driveway at the top of this slide here. So the existing site sits at 70. We are building up that site to meet, to make it manageable for that parking lot and back as well as the front side of the fire station. But since we're in close proximity to that driveway up top, there is a swale that runs along the north side of this fire station, collecting water and moving it across to the front side. That is a swale alongside that fire station that is going to be a vegetated swale that will have a water quality component to it.
So is it, I mean, whoever did the analysis took a 70% TSS removal credit. Is there going to be like a check dam in there? There's probably not a need for a check dam, right?
There is not. It's a pretty shallow swale. I believe the slope of that swale is 1 to 1.5% across.
Okay. And so, by not getting 70%, say that wouldn't put you under the 80% overall, right, on the site?
No, the stormwater systems on site with that pre-treatment, since it is those treatment trains are over attenuating that TSS removal, you're seeing a total suspended solid removal rate that is higher in those areas, while it is, while we are trying to meet it in these other areas. But across the site, you are seeing a 80% TSS removal.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question on the shallow swale you were just talking on. Is there any concern with that getting filled in by runoff or any sediment or?
So by design, that swale, that the runoff that is attributed to that area, that driveway has a curb to it, so it's not receiving any off-site flow. So the runoff that is going to that swale is the swale itself, but we needed to make sure that we were grading away from the building. So there is that swale-like depression before that the topography ramps up to meet that driveway that's coming across the top of that slide.
To the north, okay. All right, and one other quick question. On the, you had mentioned possibly the 13-to-1 might possibly get lowered down to 12.1, 12-to-1 with some of the changes we were discussing. Does that affect the 1.5-to-1?
It would, let's see exactly where the change would be. But yeah, I would think it would have to go a little bit lower.
But it wouldn't go below 1-to-1, I'm assuming.
I mean, the area of additional degraded would go up a little bit. I don't know if Teresa, if you've tried to do that math, but I would certainly ask my calculator. I wouldn't trust my brain to try to do that here.
All right, that's good, thank you. Anyone else on the commission?
Just a couple of questions, so thanks for the presentation, I really appreciate it. It's excellent. Just going back to the planning plan, just quickly, is any part of the restoration of the planning plan, does it take into consideration any invasive species that are going to be removed?
There are some invasive species. I don't know if y'all remember from our site visit. I have sort of a makeshift slide at the end here to show, after we got the new information from PAR about how they might have to do a little more clearing here by the access. There are invasive species outside of our limit of work here, as we saw when we were tramping through the wetland. The invasive species that are within the limit of work are kind of along the edge of that parking lot there. There's like bittersweet, you can see in the top left, and Japanese knotweed in the top right. So those would be reassessed just prior to construction to ensure that they have the entire extent confirmed, and those areas are going to be disposed of, off-site at a proper location, no topsoil reuse from those areas. And the same would be the case for anything that would need to be cut for those sight lines right next to the access. There's a bunch of Japanese knotweed there too.
Okay. So what I'd like to see, and maybe we can put this into a condition, I'd like to see some type of an invasive species management plan. I'd also like to see incorporated into that an IPM plan, integrated pest management plan, that will also take into consideration the type of material you're using to remove the invasives, and also what types of fertilizers, pesticides, rodenticides are being used on site. And specifically, as far as rodenticides, I would like to see no anticoagulant rodenticides used. It is a watershed. So I would like to see none of that, and a good rodent control plan would be part of that integrated pest management plan. I think that as part of the special permit at the city council, they probably already discussed this, but if not, I'd like to see a condition go into place on it.
Yeah, I can't speak to the special permit. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yes, the special permit did speak to
Didn't it?
It did, yeah. That's one of the conditions of the special permit.
Okay. We'll catch it on our conditions as well.
Sure.
Because it is expanded a little bit, because I really want to capture how the invasives, what invasives are being removed, how they're being removed, and what type of treatment is being used to remove them effectively. And all that comes into the integrated pest management plan. Okay? That's my, thank you.
Mr. Acting Chairman, the city engineer, I think, wanted to speak.
I'm sorry.
I just had Can you send us the rodent control that you prefer? I know you have a standard that you'd like to see.
Oh, absolutely.
In these, will it be easier if you just send us that and we'll
Absolutely.
adopt that into the condition? We have rodent control specified. I don't think we have the type of rodent control that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So if you provide that, we'll include that.
Yeah.
Quick question, Ms. Wood, is that in the orders and conditions, there are things that the owner is responsible for, and the ongoing integrated pest control would be a proper condition that the fire department would have to follow
Yeah.
going forward? Using the anticoagulants, et cetera, would be written into the construction rodent control spec, which is what the special permit law did.
I'll send you the language that we have.
Sure.
And we'll match it up so it
So it's not countering
Aligned.
the other, okay.
Questions from,
Is it-
get some more questions, Jim?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Anyone else on the commission?
I do. I know you have it somewhere in one of your plans, but could you show us where the snow storage areas are?
It's at the bottom
Yeah.
left,
I can.
back parking lot.
Yeah, I can point it out. So where you're seeing for the back parking lot, everything along between that infiltration basin and that back parking lot, that is a snow storage area that's called out there with that dashed line.
So I'm sorry. I see the wording that says snow storage area. I just don't know what it's pointing to exactly. What
So
is
the-
Point.
it? That
Oh, actually,
rectangle?
no, it doesn't show up on the screen. Never mind. I thought it did show up for a second. But
So where you're seeing the parking spaces within that parking lot,
Yep.
just below them, you see these 3 trees. In between those 3 trees, there is a rectangular shape that is drawn.
Oh, the dot, the
That is
dash.
a dashed rectangle.
Okay. So
is-
what are I do see it now that you're saying that. Thank you. So now my next question is going to be, what are the trees, and is the snow storage there going to impact the trees?
So there's also a second and third snow storage location I'd like to point out in that back area as well. So if you shift your eyesight to the right of where those parking spaces are, you'll see this concrete dumpster pad. To the right of that and that last catch basin, there's also a snow storage area there. As the driveway goes up to meet the school driveway itself, that is another leader from that call out that we're seeing snow storage. In addition to that, between on the north side of this parking lot, as you're going up that driveway, to the left side of that driveway, there's also another dashed rectangle that's showing a snow storage area there as well.
Ah, there we go.
just in time.
Thank you.
Got the last one.
So there's not a singular snow storage area per se, but there is care that would be involved with removing snow and the proposed vegetation on site.
A little sensitive to snow storage at the moment after.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we just had. Just for the commission, I just don't want the commission to forget, they did ask for a waiver to allow work in the 25-foot no disturb zone, so commission should act on that. Yes.
I'd like to point out that work within that 25-foot buffer is actually for the restoration that you're
Yes.
seeing at the bottom of the slide.
Yes.
A little bit over with the sight lines.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we allow the proposed work in the 25-foot no disturb zone.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes will carry.
And the last question I think I have is on page 15 in the narrative at the top. It talks about grading and disturbances being minimized by phasing the site work so that only active areas under construction are exposed. Do you actually have a phasing plan or a something that you could submit to us?
That's more just a federal requirement. We will have to get a construction general permit, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit that will apply to this site. And that is just spelled out in the construction general permit that you can't have exposed areas across the site unnecessarily. If they're not under active construction, it's 14 days. You have to stabilize them at least with temporary measures. If they're going to be inactive or if those areas are done, then you have to initiate stabilization within 14 days. So it's not construction sequencing phasing, it's just being mindful of making sure you're not exposing more disturbance than you need to in order to get your job done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So with that, open it up. We all set from the commission's end for now for questions? I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address any questions or concerns? Come up and state your name, please. Sign in if
Yeah,
good. Thank
my
you.
name's Stafford Adamson. I live at 215 Cambridge Road, so I'm kind of an abutter to this situation.
You sign in, please? Is there a sheet there?
Oh, yeah.
Your sheet right there.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. What would be my affiliation? I don't really know.
President?
Resident. All right. Awesome.
Butter.
Thank you. Bear with me. This is sort of my second time in this chamber. So I'm kind of here for one thing, but a few things came up to me as the presentation was going on. As somebody who's a big nature person and somebody who really tries to advocate for things like natural space. So one of the things that I guess concerned me was when you brought up the snow storage piece, was that there's a significant amount of salt used when clearing pavement, and I'm curious if there's any solutions in place for mitigating or preventing that salt from getting down into the groundwater that gets down eventually into that stream. And additionally, if we're going to be planting a lot of foliage, I would assume that there's going to be fertilizer used to keep those alive and healthy. So that fertilizer might also eventually make its way down into the soil and then additionally into the groundwater and the stream. So those concerns, I think, were some things that I brought up. I'm not sure if those have already been addressed by what you had mentioned. That was one of the things that I was thinking about. Secondly, I didn't hear anything about animals within this space. Is there any consideration made for animals that might live in that space when we do these type of things? Is that important to us? I know there is, for instance, I believe there is at least a few coyotes that live down in this area right now, and so they've already been pushed out of the Shaker Glen or out of the Shannon Farms area and pushed into this area. Now, are we planning on pushing them out of here and pushing them somewhere else? Do we consider that a concern? And kind of thirdly, to speak to what you mentioned about the boreholes, I think you have a very valid point because we haven't seen, at least since this project began, flooding on the scale of what I, as a resident who have used this field for many, many years, have seen in terms of what the groundwater actually rises up to. So I think that it probably would be wise to do a little more research into what the high groundwater will be during flood season, because I've seen that field flood at least up to ankle or even deeper sometimes within the Gillis baseball field. So those were kind of the concerns that I had. I am here on behalf of potentially trying to advocate for a dog park within this space, which I have sort of realized is not related so much to this. However, I guess I would like to sort of ask at least the commission if it was something that would be something you would entertain looking at potentially within some of the spaces that are free in this area. If I was to circle back around with, the city and the Parks and Rec Department, that Gillis Field baseball field is used pretty regularly by the community as a place to go with dogs. There's I actually spoke to one person who was told that by the city Parks and Rec that they should take their dog there as a place to walk their dog. Concerns about things like dog poop and urine, I think if we were to implement something like this, I don't think that there would be an increase in that I think that everybody who's currently using that space is very responsible and respectful about that, and I don't see a lot of dog poop in that area, so I think we could successfully implement this if it was something that was willing to be entertained by this commission, if I was to do the legwork to try to get some approvals from the city to actually move this forward. I don't really know what those steps are. Obviously, this is my first experience with this stuff. And I'm mostly here on behalf of my dog because, you know, she and I spent COVID down in that Gillis field, and it was absolutely the most incredible place to be able to spend time with my dog during a period of time when we really couldn't go and do much of anything. So it's a very special place to me. And I'll kind of finish by saying I think that one of the things that we've talked about is what to do with the big marker, the big Gillis marker that's right in front of the field. And what I would propose is the Gillis Dog Park. We take the marker, we move it over, we dedicate the dog park to the guy whose name was on that marker. So that's pretty much all I have, and yeah, any help would be greatly appreciated. So.
Hey, thanks for your input. I do think that maybe starting with recreation to see if they would be entertain, you know, that proposal for a dog park,
Okay.
and whether it could be incorporated into this project. You know, that would be probably a good place to start.
Sure, absolutely. And yeah, I forget your name?
Jamie.
Jamie. Jamie actually showed me one area that might be a good spot to look also that wasn't on my little document that I created for you guys. So I will follow up with Parks and Rec and see how we can move forward with that. But thank you, appreciate it.
I want to thank you for making the comment because, yeah, so I am an animal lover. I'm a wildlife lover. And I do appreciate the comment on the coyotes. I do know what kind of wildlife lives up in that area. It's not just coyotes. There's white-tailed deer up there. There's barred owls. There's great horned owls. There's a lot of things up there. And it's exactly the reason why I made the comments and what I'd like to see in the conditions about different types of fertilizers being used, how they're applied, and that's exactly the reason why. Because it all affects everything.
Agreed.
Affects the ground, affects the water,
Absolutely.
affects the animals,
Yep.
and that's the reason why. So I appreciate the comments.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I have a 25 by 25 organic garden in my backyard that I'm super concerned about because the Goddard School right next to me has pushed a ton of salt snow up on a giant berm that's now going to flood down into my organic garden right next to my spring. So whole nother side project. But yeah, thank you. I appreciated you bringing it up also. So
Thank
it's
you.
good to hear people advocate for nature. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Would you like to address any of those concerns?
I mean,
I can,
yeah, you want to speak to the snow
yeah,
storage?
I can speak to some of that snow storage. Within this stormwater report, there's a standalone operation and maintenance plan that talks about if there's any spills on site during construction, after construction, as well as any kind of maintenance that's required for the stormwater management areas, as well as snow storage as a section within that operation and maintenance plan. And when you're looking at sensitive areas like that, that's not taken lightly. So,
Yes, I can speak to the wildlife concern. I think with the conversion of the grass, the maintained grass, and the removal of the fencing that sort of obstructs wildlife passage through that area, and the planting of all of the native vegetation would encourage more wildlife. The restorative nature of those components right along the river there would be a plus for whatever wildlife exists there now, and maybe would attract more coyotes with more canopy coverage and shrub coverage. So if you do continue to walk your dogs there, I know you're not gonna, your dog's big enough, you don't have to worry, but the small dogs might want to be a little worried if the coyotes like it better after we're done. And as we chatted about a little bit, I would be concerned about putting a dog park in a jurisdictional resource area, just because my personal experience of visiting a lot of dog parks, sometimes they become dust bowls. Not everybody's going to be responsible about picking up their poop, and even like I'm sure I've brought a dog there and like been talking to somebody and didn't see that they went poop. So I would worry about that being placed in a jurisdictional area, I think that it would still be a very welcoming place for people to go for walks and be responsible and pick up their poop afterwards. But yeah, I think an area outside of a resource area would be a better place to put a dog park, and I'd love to see one in my town too. I don't know if that was all the questions.
I can also,
Can I interject real quick and ask, is this area here going to be accessible to the public? Like, say I was to go down there and walk with my dog on the leash, would that be an accessible area that I could go down and... See, the main thing is...
Hey, excuse me, can you come up and, because we're being recorded here, so, yeah, that's okay.
I'm sorry. So the main thing that I guess my main goal is that basically what we're seeing is we're taking away an area that is used by the community for something. And so if we're going to remove something that the community and neighborhood over here is using, I think it only makes sense that we replace it with something that the same community and neighbors can use. And if this area proposed here with the natural landscaping is somewhere that I could go and walk with my dog, then that's a very good solution for me. I just was concerned that what we were going to see was this large property placed in there and then kind of a moratorium on ability to use that land. So I guess I'm a little unclear on whether the sections here where the restoration will be performed will be accessible to the public, or whether those would be considered off limits, if you will. Because that might just meet the, I mean, we may not need a dog park if we have accessible.
Yeah, I don't. I think I have to make sure to check with the rest of the project in there, but I don't, it's not going to be fenced off. It's city property. I mean, obviously, while it's under construction and while vegetation's growing in, you don't want people trampling through there, but I don't know.
Checking to see if the chief is here. The fire department's not adverse to having people access public lands behind it. We, when we did the headquarters, we maintained the trailhead, the back of the parking lot. There's nothing that formal here. There isn't public parking on site, but there is nothing to preclude someone from walking along the wetlands just as they did now. It's not all going to be fenced.
Okay.
Walkable.
Right.
A lot of residences, a lot of homes on the other side, the south side of the stream.
I'll just follow up on that. This has never been the intent, I believe, of the city to patrol this area as private property after the fire station goes in.
Correct.
I don't think anyone's going to chase you off this. And to the larger vision of this area, the Shaker Glen Environmental Restoration Project that's a couple years ago, will create a really nice link from this project and those neighborhoods into that area in Four Corners. And I would expect a more formal trail and more people to kind of be following you through there. So I think the chief's been welcome to that idea. Obviously, you have to be careful walking in front of the fire station entrance, but I don't think the area in the backyard will be sort of patrolled or people will be shooed off of there by any stretch.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
That has never been discussed as part of the project.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the audience like to speak? State your name, please, and sign in. I think I know who you are.
Good evening, members of the committee. Charles Viola, Ward 7 City Councilor. I'm in favor of this project. Been with it since the beginning. I do hear Mr. Staffordson's concerns about being able to access that, which in any of the meetings that we have had, there's no mention of any signs or anything saying no public access, no nothing like that. So, in fact, we were even talking about at one time even letting students from the Reeves walk down there so they could walk along the water's edge there to see the vegetation, everything that's there. But this is a much needed fire station that we do need on the west side. We have aging demographics. We have more medical calls there up towards this area. And just the time alone coming from the Four Corners over to this side, it could take you a couple minutes. And by moving the fire station here, it will effectively get rid of that issue. And also, we also possibly are going to update the entrance to the Reeves School so it's not as wide as it is now, which people come in left, right. I mean, there's almost head-on collisions daily, I could tell you, down there. And this will effectively cease that. So thank you very much. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the commission. Thank you for everything you do. I see the results of your hard work being a member of the city council, and it's appreciated. I also support this location. I was involved in the process of looking at other locations, and this is the one that works. We put the time in to make sure this would work for now and in the future. Any of you that know me also know I am an environmentalist by nature, brought up that way, and also love nature as well. But beyond that, more important than that, we have our Woburn Fire Department firefighters in a present fire station that is not up to standard. We ask them to come to work every day at their peril and risk their life. And then when they come back to a fire station, we don't even have the proper decon rooms. So that's why I say this is an important part of the process that you all are involved in the beginning. So I ask for your guidance to make this move smoothly, as quickly as possible, and put firefighters in a position that they have a modern, safe firehouse. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Counselor.
Anyone else that would like to step up and make any comments? All right, seeing none, we'll go back to the commission. Any further questions, issues, concerns? So I think we're looking for some additional information, so I'm assuming we're not ready to close tonight. Or is that an incorrect?
Yeah, we're looking for additional information.
Yeah, making sure. So with that, I think our next meeting was in second week of February?
February 12th.
February 12th. February 12th is our next, and then I think it goes to the 26th. Is that right?
Sorry, did you have a
I want to
question?
make sure we're clear on everything that you want.
I think we were looking to see how the seasonal high water was determined.
So there was a geotechnical report done for this site with multiple test pits. If there are more test pits required within specified areas, we would request that be a condition of approval prior to that. And if we find that that seasonal high groundwater exceeds what was comparatively close to these other sites, we would look at alternative options of trying to meet and exceed what we're doing for stormwater mitigation on site.
Okay, and I think there needs to be some adjustments to the, like that, again, that water quality swale that you're taking 70% on. I mean, that just needs to be changed, that number, because you're not getting 70% there for that without a check dam in there, you know.
All right, I think we could amend these plans to include a check dam for that water quality swale.
But if the check dam isn't actually doing anything, you know, if the water should be moving in the swale, I don't know, is it moving in the swale?
So that swale runs alongside this building to convey that water, so it's not sitting alongside that building. The water that falls within that swale is what falls within that footprint. It's not taking any additional water from the surrounding area. It's what is between that building and between that drive itself. And we're making sure that water's not flowing directly at that building.
Right, okay.
So,
Well, to call it out as a swale, I mean, it should be shown on a plan that there's actually and call it a water quality swale with check dam, you know what I mean?
So that swale that you see on the northern side of that building, that is bordered with that vegetation and tree screening, it is planted with that same, I believe it is the same seed mix as what you're seeing in that surrounded area. So what we're trying to do is make sure that water that falls within that area is moving along, and it is providing a reasonable sediment removal prior to going to the area to the left, that wooded space that is north of that driveway area.
That area is an area that will be protected throughout construction to preserve mature standard trees that exist there.
Yep.
Some rather large DBHs in that one little pocket. So that was an additional mitigation measure that I tried to mention earlier.
Those trees are existing there now, or is that part of the planting plan? I don't think.
No, they're
Yeah,
existing
no,
now.
what-
I have the DBHs.
So
They're fairly large.
what you're seeing on this plan, there's that circular white area in that upper left-hand corner.
Yeah.
That is an area that will remain. There are some substantial size trees there that exceed 10 inches in diameter, and we're trying to preserve that space with those trees. That TSS removal that we talk about for that water quality swale, we are trying to remove sediment and keep that within that area. But that ultimately drains to that tree area.
Okay.
It is not a since there is no impervious runoff that's going to that area, there is not a lot of runoff, period, within that area itself. So.
Okay. And I think we were looking to see if we could get some kind of updated calculations on the restoration mitigation.
Those precise numbers if you need. Again, I think we definitely are still going to be far exceeding what would be required for the performance standards. But I can certainly remove the infiltration basin altogether, and whatever the difference that you identified earlier too, and recalculate based on that. That would be something I can do very easily, quickly. Yeah.
Could I just ask, from what I'm hearing, it seems to me that the request could be done as conditions of the order of conditions and not require another meeting. I'm just not clear as to why we'd have to have another one. Seems like the information requested could be done by condition.
So how would we condition removal of the infiltration basin as restoration?
As long as it doesn't reduce the requirements.
Yeah, we would-
As long as it doesn't go below the requirements. And you get that before you issue, I would
Yeah, see, I guess I don't know whether it goes below the.
Well,
Pretty confident, yeah.
If we can provide that as a condition of approval, showing that those calculations do not go below that restoration requirement, and if they do, well, then we'll be back here, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think it's like 15 or 15,000 something square feet of restoration. If we removed roughly 8,000 of that, compared to the, round way up and call it 3,000, if we reassess per Teresa's that little change that she identified, that's way more than 1-to-1 still. But I can certainly do that math and provide the calculations so we can check it.
Okay.
I believe, can we add into the conditions, the concerns that Jim brought up with the anticoagulants and pesticides and things like that? Can that be?
That's all a
That
condition.
should be all conditioned.
It's all a condition. Standard stuff.
So I guess, I'd like to close the public hearing this evening?
We would prefer, but it's.
And just before there's a vote or anything, I just want to verify with you. Will you send me over the information? Because that does need to go in the order of conditions.
Yeah,
The Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and you have, it has to be within 10 days, right? I mean, I can do it.
Yeah, if you can get that to
By
me
Monday.
next
Yeah,
week,
definitely.
next week is fine. Thank you.
Excuse me, Teresa, and if we do consider closing, that you'll be able to have what you need?
Yes, because it's not, I'm just asking for the numbers, like it's in there somewhere.
Want to make sure
But
that,
I want to make sure that
Yeah.
the numbers that I'm putting on the form are accurate,
Right.
because otherwise it's going to mess up the project. So if you can do
Okay.
that, and if I have a question about it, I'll contact you directly.
Commissioner Meany?
I'll try to show the math. make it-
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Just,
you.
just before, if I may, I just wanted to, though I was a little tardy in here for the presentation, I have been right along following this since the beginning. Yeah, we were at Spence Farm, we reviewed the plans, we had the plans before us. This is a win-win. This is, as we talk about here, even with some of the changes we're gonna make, it's an improvement, is what it currently exists. I think it's an improvement for the services for the people that live there in Ward 7. It's also an improvement for the wildlife as well. I think we're restoring an once old decorated field. I told you many times, that's my only home run. So I hate, as much as I hate to see
Mine
it.
as well. Mine as well, Mr. Chairman.
Right field. So though I hate to
Short
see it
porch.
go, I think it's much needed improvement because it has been neglected and falling. As much I know some of the residents love going there, they're going to like it even more from what some of the plans that we see here. So with that, I'd make the motion to close the public hearing.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate that. All right.
Fish. I didn't want to miss the fish.
They did a brief thing at the beginning.
Oh, they did. Oh, great. So we already did that.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have, again, the City of Woburn for Locust Lake Ave and Cove Street. Notice of intent, DEP 348-0897, fish passage in the viewing area. And with that, if you wouldn't mind signing in, stating your name once again.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that, and I will get out of your way.
While this is loading, I'll just take a second to introduce myself. My name is Devin Herrick. I'm a wetland scientist with Weston and Sampson here on behalf of the city, although we do have some city representatives here as well. All right, I think we can manage this. So to introduce the project, just a brief bit and orient folks as to where we're talking about. On the southern end of Horn Pond, there's an existing dam, Horn Pond Dam or Scally Dam. We've got a picture that zooms in just a little bit more for you. I'm going to see if we're able to see this. Yeah, okay, great. So we have the parking lot, which we briefly had introduced to you with our previous informal discussion. Immediately adjacent to that, this entire area is actually a dam structure. And as a component of that dam structure, we have the primary spillway just here. There's also an auxiliary spillway, which is a little hidden behind this vegetation. But the issue with the current auxiliary spillway, it functions exactly the way it's supposed to, but it's also being utilized by the fish in a way that it was never designed. It's quite steep, and the only way fish can make it from Horn Pond Brook, which extends just here from that spillway and then heading south. The only way the fish can make it is actually with volunteers that are lifting them with buckets. There's been some significant downstream improvements, which have allowed a greater population of fish to make it all the way up to Horn Pond, but now they've got this one last barrier, which we're trying to eliminate as part of this project. So this project is seeking to construct a fish passage located at Horn Pond Dam. It will improve that upstream access that we were talking about. The fish passage will be a hybrid pool and weir system, be about 6 feet wide and 130 feet long. It will align near Lake Avenue and cut parallel through that dam and exit right into Horn Pond. There will be a concrete headwall gate structure that's going to be able to control that flow and allow for dewatering during the off-season. A very important component of this particular fish passage, which we're very excited about, is the inclusion for public viewing areas. And so this includes a window which would allow folks to go up and see those fish as they're coming by, which is a really unique feature that we're very, very much looking forward to. It would also be ADA accessible with some pathways leading down to that area, and a bridge to provide vehicle access to the dam and pedestrian access to the parking water's edge. I've got a couple of plan sheets here to share with you, but we can also certainly pull up the entire plan sheet if there's anything in particular you'd like to focus on. Starting with those existing conditions. Again, this entire area, although it looks undeveloped, is actually one giant dam structure. We have the primary spillway. This is the bottom of the auxiliary spillway, which currently functions for fish passage, but not very successfully, I'm afraid. Then we have our proposed conditions. So to elaborate on these proposed conditions a little bit, we have a series of pathways that would lead us down to this public viewing area, which would have the inclusion of that window that we were discussing. And then we have the fish passage with the pools and weirs, which are these kind of vertical, horizontal structures right in the middle here. This is where the control would be placed to allow for control for water flow to go through the fish passage. This just highlights the impacts to land underwater. We have 2 areas of land underwater associated with this project, Horn Pond and then Horn Pond Brook. We have permanent impacts shown in purple, and we have temporary impacts shown in red. So those temporary impacts, things like access and dewatering, whereas the permanent impacts are things that would result in a change to grade or perhaps the addition of a structure. Cumulatively, we're looking to impact 4 wetland resource areas. Bank, that is associated with both Horn Pond and Horn Pond Brook. Land underwater, again, Horn Pond and Horn Pond Brook. Bordering land subject to flooding, and riverfront area. We've got our little table here that breaks down the impacts. I'll just talk about total impacts, but we can certainly go back and look at temporary versus permanent for anyone that would be so inclined. We're looking at 159 linear feet of bank impact, 1893 square feet of impact to land underwater, 2,998 square feet to 100-year floodplain, and 14,888 square feet within riverfront area. This project would also occur within that 25 no disturb zone, just inherently by the nature of the project, because we have to connect up to these existing resources. So that would be for that fish passage and that visitor access for the viewing platform. With that, we'll kind of keep it short and brief, but I'd be happy to bring up any components to the notice of intent that you'd like to discuss further.
I'll just give a kind of a big picture here, and I'll let Jeff or anyone else in the audience too before we kind of take the questions. Is the city's been undergoing this effort to permit this fish ladder for a couple of years now. You know, in my year here, it's been a big push, and we appreciate the work Weston Sampson's done, especially over the last 6 months. We've obtained a significant amount of permits from the Army Corps, which was one that was a big hurdle. So I trust that the team has all the information to answer the questions, but I do understand it's a very complex project. So if we don't have all the questions today, we're happy to follow up and do what we can for you.
Thank you.
All right, any questions from the commission here?
Couple?
Absolutely.
So with the creation of this new fish passage, how is that going to affect downstream flows of water? Is that increasing the downstream flow of water?
Nope, there's no anticipated increase whatsoever. We're planning to maintain that same elevation for Horn Pond. That's not going to change. There just might be some minor adjustments during that herring run season, but the same amount of water is actually still coming through, so there won't be any increase to downstream.
So will the dam itself, the gate, is that going to be controlled? Because I mean, if you're opening up a new, say, stream, that's going to be draining more water, right? But the dam will.
Exactly. It's my understanding there's going to be a balance there so that you're allowing that same amount of water to come through, and the dam and the fish ladder would be operated in union to make sure that that water is controlled.
Okay.
I'll just stand up here just to add. The city of Winchester required that there would be no rise in the water going downstream. So whether it goes through the dam or through the spillway or fish ladder, it's at the set elevation for the fish ladder and the dam. And the city of Winchester, rightfully so, required that this would be a no rise calculation done, which actually took quite a bit of time and effort for us to figure out.
That two dams, so to speak, is going to be, I'm sorry, Jerry,
That's fine.
It's going to be monitored by the same group that currently does the one, as far as like controlling it, because I know they don't just leave it at one setting. The current one gets raised up and lowered.
Yeah, ultimately Scally Dam, which is the primary spillway, is at a set elevation 95% of the time. I don't know the elevation offhand. When we do experience big storms, the water treatment guys down there and their crew have a series of alerts that will go out to Winchester and surrounding communities that we would like to draw down the pond. So the amount of water, again, if that elevation is 100 and we're at 100 with the fish ladder, it's still all leaving at 100. It might get there a little quicker via the fish ladder and going around, but it's all the same elevation water leaving more or less at the same time.
The volume of water is not.
Yeah, the dam is still the primary control, for Winchester, which they rightfully asked about.
Thanks. I'm sorry, Jerry.
No, that's
You can
fine.
continue.
And for any folks maybe in the public or the commission that may not know, the Winchester town line is actually right down here. That's why they're so particularly interested, because this project is quite close to their jurisdiction.
Is this fish passage been used in other places? You're familiar with it? It's something that works well, I hope.
Yes, the design itself was aided by folks that specifically do design these fish passages. DMF has absolutely weighed in. I think the viewing platform is something that's pretty new and exciting, and there's not one locally, which is why it was incorporated to be a real highlight feature. But the functionality itself was designed by folks that do these fish ladders all the time.
That's great. And another question is, how are the fish going to know that they're supposed to be going up the passage and not up towards the dam or up the alternate
They have
Yeah.
spillway?
Absolutely. So
Put a little sign out for them.
There you go.
a little left-hand turn sign now. I'm certainly not a fish biologist, but it's my understanding how these little aquatic creatures get their signals is that they sense the flow direction in which this water is coming. There isn't any water flow that comes out of that auxiliary 99% of the time, only during extreme high events. So there's actually nowhere else for them to go. They will either hit the very end of the spillway, or they will have this option to go up the fish passage. And so by nature, they'll understand.
It becomes a path of least resistance for them. Right now, during high flows, they can't physically jump up the dam, so their best chance is to go up the auxiliary spillway, which is largely unsuccessful.
Right.
I think they follow the pack and find the path of least resistance naturally.
Okay.
And I'm happy to put a sign in too, though.
I should have clarified as well, this primary spillway, it is quite a drop, so it's not something that they can just jump. They do need some assistance, and as I said, that auxiliary spillway is just too steep. So this one will provide them a much easier path of least resistance.
Yeah, and I'm just because this is obviously an easier path. I mean, in the past, they've just bolted for the dam and the pool that's in front of it, and there's, and they've tried to get up the spillway. A few of them make it, but this is going to be a much easier trip for them, I guess, so.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're very
Heaven-
smart fish.
Heaven will be disappointed. The heaven that purchased.
Last question, is there maintenance involved with this, or if there is, who's going to be in charge of the maintenance?
On the dam structure, or the dam structure, on the fish passage structure itself, I'm not really aware of any large ongoing maintenance. There would certainly be maintenance to the control structure, which I assume would be done similarly to how the dam is, but I'll certainly.
Yeah, no, that's a great question that I was asked earlier today, and the fish passage and ladder itself is a very naturalized system. It's sort of a channel with some rock pools and rock walls, really similar to the spillway except much more friendly, and that's managed when the herring are in season. That's managed through DMF, and they have volunteers and their staff that take a lot of care of it. As far as the control structure and when to turn it, I would probably lean towards those folks that have the expertise in that. But any upgrades or things that break, outside of handwork and labor would probably be left to the city and, our partners here who are here and supporting the project to make sure that this thing isn't put in and lays to waste,
Yep,
So there's no agreement in place right now, but that's something we'll certainly be following up on and working out.
Okay. All your permits, have you gotten all your permits necessary for this?
Yeah, we've completed our MIPA process and our Army Corps process. 401 is in, Chapter 91 is in. So we're going back and forth with the comment process now, but so far everyone seems to be quite supportive.
Two left. When we're down to one left, that they will be notified that they are, well, 2 plus you. When there's one left, we'll be letting them know that our intention, if all goes well, would be to get this bid this spring and installed after the herring are gone this summer and operational this fall, essentially. So the pressure will be on for the people who may be lagging behind and holding us up, from our counselors and those in those shoes.
Would it be beneficial to keep this open until you're getting those, just in case there are some major changes made to the project, which would...
I don't anticipate any changes, but it's probably not going to hold the process up if we have to come back. But if we came back, I think it would be procedural and not merely a presentation or update. It would just be to let you know that the permits are all in.
Right.
It could be an advantage to say that the commission has approved the project, when we get down to the last permit. Mm-hmm. But, if there's enough outstanding questions today, coming back wouldn't be detrimental at this point. But we are ideally looking to finalize plans and specs in February. So if there are conditions and things that the commission would like to know, I would like to know them sooner rather than later so we can get this job essentially bid in March, April, so that when the herring are gone, we're ready to go. So we have some time, but I would like to incorporate comments and feedback as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I just had another quick question on the base of the new flowway. Is that just like it's natural materials, but are they in loosely, just like on the other end? It's just rocks placed to, it's not solid, not cemented in or anything like that?
Yeah, so the bottom of the fish passage structure, so the structure itself is mostly concrete, but at the bottom, it exactly meets up with the grade of the existing stream. And so there's not going to be any additional concrete poured into that stream channel beyond the addition of just the structure itself, which is just outside the bank.
So none of that material would be able to, in an overflow or whatever, would be able to roll down and cause blockages or anything like that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Jim?
Lisa? Yep. First of all, thank you very much. This is an excellent filing. It's really comprehensive, and again, it's easier for us to review, so I really appreciate the time and effort that went into that. I'm really excited about this project. I think it's really going to be fantastic, and as somebody who has personally witnessed the poor fish trying to make their way up and the good people with the nets helping them get in, it's heartbreaking. So I think it's really exciting, and I love the idea of the observation window and whatever educational material I think will be really fantastic. I just have a couple of really small questions. One is, you have, I think most of the area that work is, or probably all of the area that work is taking place in is degraded. Do you have the square footage? Do you know that number?
It's almost the entire area. So I would say the riverfront area is 15,000 and somewhat, and it is the equivalent of the riverfront area.
Okay.
I know there's some kind of sparse adventitious vegetation that's taken hold there, but it's a dam structure, and it's actually not meant to allow water to come in and out, or that would be problematic for Horn Pond.
Right. And also, I know you are doing work in land subject to flooding. You're actually lowering that, which is great. Thank you. But can you give me the numbers for, we need to actually put it on the form for order of conditions. So just the amount of bordering land subject to flooding alteration, it's on page 3 of the notice of intent form. You've got the numbers in for the other, for bank and land under water bodies, but I didn't see anything for land subject to flooding. And there is a distinction between the alteration versus flood storage lost. So I think sometimes that confuses people because they're like, well, we're not filling in anything, but it does actually ask for alteration. So if you have that and the amount of replacement or amount created, that would be helpful.
Yeah, it's not a problem. So I know right here we have the impact number that you're looking for the bordering land subject to flooding. So in total, the alteration is 2,998. I would be happy to check on the cut fill volumes. We do have a cut fill table in the plan set, and we can certainly send you those numbers if they're not easily accessible.
Thank you.
Zena?
For me? So I too am very excited for this. I think it's we're waiting for a while to see this happen, and I think it's probably one of the most exciting projects that this city has seen in a while. And when it's finished, I really believe it's going to be an attraction for people to come and see it. So I'm excited. I do have some questions. And I'm sure I already know the answer to the first one, but as far as adding this structure into the dam, we're not affecting any integrity of the dam.
Should have clarified, there's also permitting that goes through the Office of Dam Safety, so they are fully involved with the permitting process. They're aware of the project and they're in support of the project. So it's actually in permitting with Office of Dam Safety right now.
Terrific. The other one is, as far as I should say season. Is it seasonal? Will this be open seasonal, or is it always going to be flowing 12 months a year, or is it going to be just during the herring runs?
Is my understanding for how the operations are meant to work, that it would flow mostly through the herring runs and then would continue to flow at a lower level throughout the rest of the year, but it would be most prominent through the herring run time.
Okay, great. And I think we already heard about there's no increase in volume downstream, so that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, anyone else?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. So
Joyce?
I'll echo the same comments that my colleagues have raised. I'm very excited about this project. I've been following it very closely for the last couple of years anyway, and I've written public comments on it. I think it's a great addition for the city. I think it's going to bring in quite a number of people, so I'm happy that we're taking a look at the parking, because I can foresee that becoming this is going to be a showpiece.
I think this is what
Right?
people will think of Woburn in the future, is the Woburn fish ladder.
Yeah,
The underwater viewing platform is I don't believe there's one in the region. So,
Exactly. So, just a couple, so that's my comment, so I'm really happy about this. On the secondary spillway, is there any plan, or any part of the plan, to do anything to change that secondary spillway? Is it going to stay exactly the same as it is, or?
It's going to stay exactly the same as it is. It functions exactly for its purpose, which is acts as an auxiliary spillway, and it functions the way it should. It just does not function as a fish passage.
Okay, exactly.
let me also just add, we were asked to remove trees.
That's true.
And as part of that request, there are some trees. Are they all of the ones on the left? There's trees within the dam structure that the Office of Dam Safety and others have asked us to remove because it's a threat to the dam. So it's in the package, I believe. And there was an additional request, sort of through engineering, that there's a lot of grassed areas in here that are maintenance difficult and don't get taken care of and become sort of a drag on the dam. So we're sort of fortifying and making the dam as maintenance free and hands off as possible while we're putting in these permit requests. There's a lot of things that we would have liked to do preventatively that would have soured up the timeline that we didn't really get included, but we've done everything we can without sort of gumming up the timeline as far as trees and some low mow or no mow and more native areas rather than lawn cut grass.
So that kind of leads me to the question about, if I look at the Scally Dam right now, there's the fence that's around it. The ladder is going to go to the left of it. Is that fence going to be expanded to cover the perimeter maybe you've got a slide on it, where the ladder is? And the question is, are people going to be able to access in between where the current fence is and where the ladder is? So yeah, right in there.
So this is where the fence would be located, but folks would still be able to go across. We've got some benches put in here. There's a pedestrian access over the fishway. So folks will still be able to access this entire area. It's just going to be via this bridge, but there will still be a fenced off area just for dam safety purposes.
So the little walkway on top of the existing dam is going to remain off limits still?
Yeah.
Which it should.
Yeah,
I think it's
a
a
safety
pretty
concern.
similar fence layout. I think the fish ladder kind of comes in where people cut up the sidewalk, through that trail that's sort of cut through there now.
So these sections of the ladder, they're covered, correct? Are they covered or are they just open?
The fish ladder?
Yeah.
It's open.
So you can watch the fish I can stand there at the bottom just
You
watch.
can watch them
Please
underwater or above water.
All right, so.
Don't take them. You can't take them.
No, I know, well, this is, so, look.
The birds are going to be watching it harder than you are. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the black crown night herons
Yes.
coming in and taking these guys, but we have, these are prime fishing spots up in there where those benches are. So we just got to be, that's the reason why I asked the question, are we cutting off any access to anyone is it going to prevent anyone from going fishing in those spots? I mean, we do have to be concerned about the river herring themselves, but, we do have a lot of rainbow trout and different,
Will there be
up in there.
Yeah. I'd say if I was putting a line out, I'd put it right in that purple spot if I was fishing for river herring, but I don't know, that's not very sporty.
Will there be
All right.
signage to try to, deter or prevent? Because I know it's illegal, I believe, to fish for the heron, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I do believe there is existing signs on the fences. We are working with our partners at the Missiger Watershed to provide some educational signage in this area as well as the rain garden. There's certainly sentences or language that we could say, hey, this isn't open season on a river herring with the fly rod here.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Just one other question, just where the viewing area is and where the ramps are and the access to that viewing area. In the middle, that right now would be grass. Is that still going to be grass, or is it going to be landscaped, or is there anything going in there?
Nope, it would still be maintained the way it is now, which there's some sparse vegetation just because it is adventitious and what has come in, but it is the dam structure underneath, and you actually can't have vegetative plantings, things like that on the dam structure because you could have punctures.
Okay.
So it will be maintained the same way it is now.
Well, right now along the shoreline, there's a significant amount of invasive species that are over there. So I'm gathering that nothing's being done about those. There's no plan to remove any of those invasives?
We don't have any invasives management put into the plan at this time.
If I could,
That's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
with the request, the tree removal that you had mentioned, we would like to, if it's not already, I don't recall, on the plans? Would they be marked on the plans? And is it being considered to do replacements elsewhere in the area?
I think unfortunately they should have not been allowed to grow as much as they did for the dam. I think it actually, right now it's a bit overgrown and undetended just because of how difficult it is to get to.
I think I know which ones you're looking at.
And I think it'll be eye-opening if you look back on Google Maps from 10, 20 years ago, the view and the vista that you'll have from Lake Ave without these trees and the vegetation sort of blocking that growth. I know we have a lot marked out on the plan. Maybe our friends at DPW would be willing to help out and kind of work with you guys on some of that other stuff while we're making this area sort of the landmark that it will become.
I believe some of the trees that Alex is pointing out are these just down here. And to echo what he said, there's actually a regulation in the dam safety regs that you can't have any woody vegetation because you could have punctures that could lead to issues in the dam itself. So sometimes maintenance just gets a little laggy, but they should be removed per the dam safety regs.
On that note, is there any current, did they review that? I didn't really realize that the dam structure was that extensive. Is it currently being maintained, looked at regularly?
Yes.
And it does, okay.
It's reviewed. I get reports 2-4 years. They review it. They don't do a subsurface investigation so much. You know, they're looking at the spillway and the head walls of the dam, not so much the underground structure of the dam itself, but it is assessed.
If I recall from our dam engineers, I believe that for dams like this, there's like a biannual inspection that's required under the dam safety regulations. That then increases if certain deficiencies are identified, but I believe this dam is on an every other year basis, if I recall seeing those inspections.
I believe we did have an instance, probably 10 years ago or something? There was a little breach, there was some water getting through somewhere there, but it's being, as long as it's being monitored. So I'm good. Anyone else on the commission?
Yeah, I just want to bring up that there is a request in the project that we waive the 25-foot no disturb zone. So I would make that motion to waive the 25-foot no zone in the no disturb zone in the proposed areas.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions, the ayes will carry. Thank you. All right, with that then, is there anyone in the audience or public that would like to speak or make comments? And if you come up and please sign your name in and state it for our note taker, please.
Hi, my name is Rajesh Mohan. I'm a resident of Woburn. Been here 15 years. And I've been photographing, filming, and tracking these alewife run every year. And last year, actually, I finished a documentary that shows the alewife run and all the perils and all the barriers that they have to go through. So I'm actually very excited about this. And last year, I was talking to Mystic Valley people, what to do with this, and it's much better than what I thought will happen. So I fully support it, and I fully urge people to, make a quick action, because the herring runs happen in May and June. The only question I have is, I've noticed that herrings, unlike salmons go one way to their spawning grounds and then they die. Herring actually head back to the ocean. So I've seen that when they head back, the water levels are generally lower and they get more stuck, and there's a lot of... Is there any provision to assist them going back?
I know that this was designed by folks that designed the fish ladders, and they did account for them being able to go back and forth. I'm afraid I don't know very much about the operations,
okay.
But we'd be happy to find out a little more for you.
Yeah, something to consider.
Very good question.
Yeah, we meet with the Division of Marine Fisheries. I think we have a meeting with them in February. That's a question we could just put through for the record for you guys and let you know. I know they leave when it's the summer, so the water's typically lower, but I think they go right over the spillway. But there's no real plans other than how DMF will just operate the ladder themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else that would like to make a statement?
Again, Jeff Dillon, Ward 3. Thank you. I've often said, I've said it in these chambers, we have two crown jewels in Woburn, Horn Pond and the Woburn Library. And I've been asked, which one is number one? And I always respond, it depends on the audience I'm speaking to. So tonight, it's Horn Pond. But on a serious note, I'd like to take a moment to thank the commission here, because I know how much they care for Horn Pond, because I see each and every member every year at Conservation Day down there helping out and doing their part. So that's appreciated. You not only talk the talk, you walk the walk as well. I do have a couple notes here. I have a couple thanks, particularly to Commissioner Joyce and his wife Patty for Friends of Horn Pond. What they do in Horn Pond is amazing. Rodney Flynn worked for years collecting trash, and he's done a great job down there. But Friends of Horn Pond have even taken it a step further with the management of invasive species, supporting the wildlife down there, the fishing line collection systems there, just too much to mention. And there's other people as well here in Chambers. We have Brian Poor, we have June McKenzie, and we have another important person here as well, that none of this would probably come to this point if it wasn't for Catherine Piedmont from the Mystic River Watershed Association, who got us the grant money for this. So there's a lot of people involved in this, as well as the engineering department. I'm on my second engineer in this project. Well, that tells you how long I've been working at this. Over 5 years now it's been talked about. So that's how excited I am about it. But we talk about what the benefits are for this. As a young child, my father would take myself and my brothers to Horn Pond fishing. And I guess the term environmentalist came about in the 1910 range when they discovered or invented the word. Well, I'm not that old, but I would say I think my father taught us well, because when we went off fishing to Horn Pond, we would bring our lunch and our worms in a brown bag, and would have 3 or 4 other brown bags. And what he taught us was something that stayed with me throughout my life, and I taught my son, my daughter, and now my grandchildren. When we go out fishing, walking out to Horn Pond, any trash we see, we pick up. When we arrive to our fishing spot, any trash that anyone else left, we pick up. That lesson has stuck with me throughout my life, and I'm hoping that this fish ladder we can incorporate with the Woburn Public Schools, and maybe we'll be generous and even let other schools come in, and teach these young children to respect nature, to take care of nature, and to realize how truly important our environment is, and get away from maybe the electronics and go and visit the fish ladder and see the beauty of nature. It's a fascinating thing to see all these fish go through a true fish passage. They have them down at the Cape Cod Canal, and as a young child would go for the day trips down with my dad and mother and would check them out. And it's something that stays with you, just the absolute beauty, the force of nature, and the whole transaction of it. It's something that I think we can use as a learning tool to teach young people, because unfortunately, guys like Jim and I are getting up there, and I don't know how much longer he's going to be putting hip boots on and going and pulling trash out of the pond. So we need to get the young people involved. So that's what I'm really excited about. The opportunity that we can engage students here in Woburn and again other communities and just make this a real main attraction. But again, it wouldn't be possible without everyone's hard work, and it truly is true. It takes a village, and I've been excited about a lot of things in these chambers projects, but this is right up there. So whatever support I can do, I will be there. And again, I appreciate the commission's guidance and support as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Good evening. My name is Brian Poor. I'm a resident of Woburn, lifelong. Grew up very close proximity to Horn Pond. Been, like Jeff, fishing the shores of Horn Pond since I was a little kid. You know, the reason the river herring are here is because we have a healthy ecosystem, and having them come back year after year, and we're going to get more and more fish because, you know, these fish are androgynous. So, you know, they come here, they spawn, they lay their eggs, and they go back to the ocean. Once the new fry are big enough, they go back to the ocean 3 to 5 years when they're ready to spawn. It's like GPS for fish. They come all the way back to where they were born to spawn and lay their eggs. So each year we're going to have more and more, and just looking forward to it. Again, it helps everything, helps the striped bass, helps the seals, helps the bass, the trout, everything in the pond. So just definitely looking forward to it, and thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Sure.
I think herrings benefit when they come to the land or come to those ponds, but the bigger impact is the ocean. When they go back, when fish fries, typically, I think last year we had like 800,000 that came up according to Mystic Valley, and it's almost like 8 or 9 million that go back, and that replenishes the ocean, which is a much bigger impact.
Thank you.
Yeah, the phosphorus actually have another benefit. The fish eat the phosphorus too, so the fish are welcome guests in many regards, and you know, we like to see them, but we'll have to run some calculations on our phosphorus reduction loads once we start really bringing some fish in here and taking some credit for the work too. That's it for public comment.
I think the city of Woburn is very fortunate to have a project like this, and as well as the one that's currently going on at the Herald School as well, to improve that area of town. So I personally thank everybody involved. It's wonderful, and thank you. It's a lot of effort, and hopefully the city as a whole appreciates it all. So
I'll echo one last shout out to the former city engineer, Jay Corey, who spent a lifetime in Woburn. Without him, a lot of that funding and all these projects probably never get to where they are. So I can't take too much credit for anything before last February. So this one, he still gets to take credit for. He'll get his name on the stone somewhere. So moving forward, this is his last one.
Yeah, that's well, I'm going to go back to the commission. Is there any other comments, questions, concerns, or?
Nope, all set.
And with that, are you, I'm not sure, are we looking for any more information? Are you requesting us to close the hearing tonight?
Yeah, I think it'd be great to close the hearing. We'll go over the numbers, confirm that everything, and you could make the condition approval upon a couple housekeeping items, the rodenticide, of course, and all those things. But yeah, I think we can condition and close hopefully here.
Chairman, I move that we close this public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes will carry. Great, thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Great job. Thanks.
Thank you.
back up here, I
Take a
guess.
5-minute recess, stretch legs.
Oh, jeez, this is something. I guess we're breaking off of my estimate tonight.
Well, it doesn't have a strong battery, so
Let 'em leave.
Let's
Thank
get
you.
you plugged back in.
Right in this piece.
I think he's going to use it.
Thank you, Kat.
What was the?
Thank you so much.
93, 31 more. And one more handicap on additional.
sure.
All right, next on our public hearing agenda, under 2D, it's Anderson Central LLC, Locust 30 and 32 Cedar Street, Interstate 93 L and LLC, accessible ramp, stairs, loading ramp with the DEP number 3480895. With that, if you could sign in, state your names, and our note taker, and you're gonna, yeah.
Working on it.
Get me exercise.
Oh, damn it.
Anyway, while this is reloading, it's about a 15-year-old laptop, so it's going to take a while. Good evening, Mark Slager from Allen Engineering. With me since this evening is...
Keaton Hagus from Cummings Properties.
Thanks. We're here for a continued public hearing at 3032 Cedar Street. We were here last time to talk about the compensatory storage that was necessary for the construction of the loading dock. And the commission had concerns that there wasn't enough upper level storage being provided to be consistent with the incremental storage requirements in the Wetland Protection Act. We have modified the site plan that was submitted, rearranged some of the reconfigured the compensatory storage area and provided the additional upper level storage, modified the cross-section and the summary table, so everything is hopefully self-explanatory. Going. So with that, happy to entertain any questions.
I appreciate you redesigning that. I think that hopefully will alleviate the main concerns that was brought up. But anyone on the commission would like to ask any further questions, or?
I still have some concerns. No, I don't. No, thanks again for doing that. And, you know, I've tried to get an answer to your thinking that providing extra storage at lower elevations is okay, and I've run it up the ladder a few times, and the only answer I've gotten is that the performance standards require what we asked you to do. So if you ever get a good answer on it, other than I appreciate your answer, but
the only way I would ever get a good answer on it is under a superseding order.
Right. Okay, but thank you again.
So no further questions?
Just a
Everyone
comment, so-
satisfied with what we have?
Yeah, just a comment. So again, I'm going to echo the same as Commissioner Lonis. Thank you for going back and taking a look at that. I have no other questions. You've answered everything that I had a concern about, and I really appreciate the effort putting into that. Thank you.
And I appreciate it as well, and I also appreciate how quickly you turned it around, because it helps on our end, so thank you.
So with that, I'm assuming you'd like us to close?
Yes, please.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes carried. Thanks for sitting
Thanks
in
very
our
much.
meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well done, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Mr. Chairman, we have an order of conditions. I don't hope, hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a peek at it. And so if everybody's had a chance to look at it, I would make a motion to issue the order of conditions as drafted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, you have issued your order of conditions.
There you go.
All right. Back up here again.
Thank you.
They deliver. We go.
Set with the signatures.
Like, yes, thank you.
All right, under file request, we have 4A, Fred Chaldale, Locus 185 Lexington Street, DEP 3480877 for a request for certificate of compliance. And is there anyone here to speak with that, on that?
Mark Slager from Allen Engineering, here on behalf of Fred and Bruce Shildea, the owners of the property at 185 Lexington Street. I think the plans hopefully speak for themselves. I took plenty of pictures showing the land being stabilized below the wall. It was recently stabilized with sod. You're probably not going to get a good look at it right now, but
yeah,
good thing I have the pictures. Along with this request, there is a prior order of conditions that was issued. What happened was the work wasn't completed before the other order expired, so we filed a new order. This one superseded the prior order, but technically that order is still open, so I'd like to request that the prior order of conditions be closed out with a certificate of compliance as well.
With no, I would assume with no work done, or the prior
Well,
one?
Some of the work was begun and
Okay.
started under that, and then it expired.
Okay.
So they came and filed a new notice of intent and got a new
Just-
order
we're
of
just
conditions.
closing it.
But as I recall, the project didn't change. She didn't change the plan. No. So the as-built should function for both projects.
Chairman, I would move that we issue the certificate of compliance for DEP number 348-0833 with continuing conditions 90 through 92.
I think it's just 90.
90 and 92, I'm sorry. And that's it.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes carry. So that was on the the earlier.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move that we issue a certificate of compliance for Locust 185 Lexington Street, DEP number 348-0877, with continuing conditions numbers 91 and 92.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes carry.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you. Right. Some signatures, and we'll move on to the next one.
Yep. Double it up. Close the one, open it up. Minutes. Close the time.
Next on our agenda is the City of Woburn for DEP file number 348-0425 for locus 240 Lexington Street, and another request for a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, Alex Ruzicki, city engineer, Ryan Malkias, civil engineer. You guys are probably pretty sick of me, so I'll just tell you why we're here, and I'll have Ryan go through on what we did. This is a certificate of compliance for the old Reeves Elementary School that was built quite some time ago. In obtaining the permits for the new fire station, we realized, or we were told, we never completed or closed out the old certificate of compliance. So we went out, took some pictures. We have the existing survey conditions, more or less just kind of going through the motions here. I'll let Ryan kind of explain how we tried to piece this together after the fact.
Yeah, so we went through, we looked at the areas under the jurisdiction of the commission, right along that area in the back of the site, in the back of the baseball field, and then those are all the pictures that you all have in front of you. And then we also, at the end of here, we added an overhead shot of the detention basin that was constructed as part of the Reeves Elementary School construction.
So yeah, the work here obviously was done as part of the elementary school. I think the kind of big stormwater piece that we were missing in our photographs to you guys in the package, we've kind of pieced together the shape and outline of it. It's on the existing survey conditions for the new fire station. It just doesn't have quite the as-built that you would maybe prefer, but we could see it here and we could validate that it was installed. That's it. Any questions?
Do you have any questions from the commission?
I guess my only my only question would be, how is that detention basin functioning? I don't think that's the way it was intended to be designed, with all those trees in it.
I would agree. As someone who's battling with a recent applicant on a similar issue, I would maybe recommend that this detention basin be inspected or maintained or properly addressed as we move forward towards the next project. I think, those trees obviously weren't there when the detention basin went in. I don't know how old the school is. It's at least a decade old.
Yeah.
So if the will of the commission was to see that the detention basin was re-established properly, I think that would be a good condition for the new fire station, as opposed to the old school. If I were to kind of give my input on one, it's an overlapping project, right? So happy to kind of see it other ways, but I don't know if that's certainly the easiest path forward, is to condition the new station. But if that's not the appetite of the commission, we'd have to probably engage DPW to try to do it, this spring and come back this summer or something.
Do you know if the grades are correct in there? do you have any information, or, I mean, you may need to dig more, but
Yeah, we can confirm that the elevations of the outlet and the control structure, the check dam, and the RC pipe were confirmed through the conditions existing on the existing lot of the new station. So we have the infrastructure is set. Yeah, obviously this detention basin has filled in with sediment, so the grades have likely changed since then. What I could do also is ask if the surveyor had taken some more spot elevations that weren't shown because it's sort of out of the project limits. If I have those, I'd be happy to pass them along as well, depending on kind of how we want to go about dealing with this basin in particular.
I mean, I do like the idea of kind of attaching it to the fire station. And would that work be done by the people that are constructing the fire station? And
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly, for me, the easiest path financially for, the city in getting this done. When the tree removal happens at the fire station, this is just 6 extra trees. If I had to, hire a tree consultant to do this, we're looking at a pretty significant expense, that's not necessarily budgeted. So, I don't speak for the project itself on the fire station, but I don't think it'd be inappropriate to say that the drainage basin should be, reestablished as part of the conditions of the overall site, kind of switching hands and becoming a fire station.
And I agree with you. I just wonder if they balked on that idea and said, no, we're not going to do it. We issue a certificate of compliance with that. Making note of what you said, that in our order of conditions for the fire station, that detention basin is restored to its original grades and functionality.
Yeah, I mean, as long as, for me, in the city, I guess, as long as the certificate of compliance for this site isn't holding up the other site, I'd be happy for you to condition or put in to the fire station permit that is a condition. Should they balk, I don't know how we would balk as someone who would review that. And then I can come close this out after that permit is accepted or after this work is completed, and basically just follow up, when we do a site visit early on in the fire station work, basically.
yeah, I would agree. I don't think that the commission should close out this order right now. I also don't think it necessarily needs to hold up the fire station. But maybe I can sit down with the city engineer and we can
Is that
how to fix
is that a
this.
potential issue, that if we don't close this out, that it might hold up the state?
Only
the
if the
fire
commission says it should hold it up.
That's, yeah.
station? Okay,
So I-
That's up to you.
I mean, I don't
That's
think
why we're here.
I don't think it should hold it up, but I also think that we should find out, that should probably be corrected. I mean, there's a reason why it was designed, and
For sure.
it's
And
it should be functional.
we don't need a comment from legal office, do we?
I
Anything
think
like
I'd
that?
like to get something from the city
potentially-
engineer, perhaps, but
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the city engineer doesn't disagree that we could tackle this as part of Fire Station 5, and I think that's certainly the path of least resistance and a small piece of what the project may intend and the right thing to do here. Where it's the same site. We're not. It's part of the project now.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that.
So then we'll keep this open and.
I think the commission should probably just deny the request for a certificate of compliance at this time and reconsider it when the issue at the detention basin is fixed.
So once they're doing construction.
Well, I think right now, the only thing that's before you at the moment is the request for a certificate of compliance. So I would recommend the commission deny that, because the detention basin isn't functional the way it was designed to be. And then we'll try to fix it. The commission will try to fix it in another manner.
So I move that we deny the request for a certificate of compliance, DEP number 348-425.
There's a motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
My bad. I'm kidding.
I'll stay in office next time.
No, it is what it is. I think if 15 years ago we came for
Yeah.
the certificate, we probably would have got it, but we didn't. So now we need to do some preventive maintenance as it should have happened anyway. So
Well, as long as it seems like it will flow and will be able to happen, so.
yeah, we will put it in the plans with Horza Witten. We'll follow up with them tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Thanks
for all.
Thanks for your time.
It was an interesting evening. Thank you.
Yeah. See you again next year.
And if you have the remote, if you can turn that off, I think it's down there somewhere. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Okay. We don't need any signatures on that, or? Okay, great. So, next, under business items, A, tree planting for number 42 Green Street, DEP 348-0880. So we did receive a new plan, and I looked at it. I think they covered what we intended them to.
That looks
So
good
is
to
any
me.
comments or questions? Discussion?
Move to accept the tree planting plan?
Okay, we get a motion?
Second.
In a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes carry. Good. That doesn't require any signatures, right?
That does not, no.
We're moving along then, okay. Under 5B, under business items, ratification of emergency certification of Olympia Ave and Wheeling Ave. Any information
So,
be discussed?
yeah, so I got a text from the DPW superintendent about an issue out on Olympia Ave. I think I got the text on January 12th, and it was an issue with water not draining and flowing out of the catch basins. And it was also, at that time, it was very cold. It was freezing in the roadway. Really, a really dangerous situation. It was basically when cars went through it, would, they'd splash it, it would freeze, and it was taking up one of the travel lanes for probably 100 feet or so anyway. So the plan was to unblock the drainage out there in Olympia Ave. That was done, alleviated the problem. So that problem has been rectified, but there needs to be, and we need to keep an eye on the site going forward.
Is this the deep ditch that we looked at, I
No.
forget how long ago,
This
along
is-
the roadway in between the building? No?
No, this is at, it's at 78 Olympia Ave, and it's one of the Cummings properties.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you come down Olympia Ave, and, not Olympia, Wildwood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take a right, and it's right there,
Oh,
that
okay.
drainage area there.
Okay, I got it.
So I went out and eventually, over time, Dwayne and Jim got involved. And we, again, we believe that the situation has been rectified, but there, going forward, there needs to be a lot of work done out there. And we're just not sure who's going to be responsible for.
Was it city property, or, I mean, it was affecting city property, but is the root of the problem on private?
It's not affecting city property. It's the drainage is on the Cummings property. It's just that now it's a question of, is it?
Yeah, that's what I mean, it was, the roadway was
City
affected.
infrastructure.
But, so, and that's why the city got involved with?
Because it's city drainage.
Oh, okay,
So-
thank you. So do we need to send anything to Cummings Property for?
So there was an emergency certification that was issued, and 2 of the commission members were available to sign it, so they did.
Right.
That was sent to Public
Okay.
Works. So they do have that. It was also sent to DEP. But it does need to be ratified by the commission, so
Right.
we need a vote to ratify, and if that takes place, then we need the rest of the commission members to sign it.
Okay. Well, with that, it sounds like we move forward and ratify it, and from my point of view. So if we have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes carry. Does Cummings Property get a copy of any of that?
I did give that to them, I believe.
All right. Signing. I think it bumped up there. Moving up the ladder. What? That's better paper, too.
Right.
Oh, I already signed it.
Oh, thank you, thanks. Reappoint. You stuck with it.
Okay, next, we have to discuss scheduling any site visits, and do you have any in the horizon?
There, I don't know.
The only-
We get snowshoes?
So the site visit that I was going to recommend was down on Olympia Ave, and the last item that we just talked about. But now considering that there's 2 feet of snow out there, there's probably not a lot to see. So we need to keep it on the radar
I was gonna
screen so
say-
that when the snow does recede, that
Get out and
the
take a
commission
look.
does a site visit out there just to see exactly the scope of the work that was done and the extent of the sediment that was in that trench covering all of the output of the city drainage. So we'll have to figure out when the next good time to do that is, but I want to make sure that we keep that on the radar.
Yeah, we might want to think about, looking at it prior to our next meeting, and if
Yeah.
the snow happens to be gone, which it doesn't seem like it's going to be.
Right.
So just a question on it. So you're saying that the area of concern is in Cummings property?
It is,
So would that have been something that may have been in an order of conditions as when it was built at the time and approved?
I don't
Might-
think so, because I
Or
think
like
that, I think that the building probably predated the wetland regulation. Yeah, I'm not aware of maintenance requirements there.
Okay. I actually did try to find something at the registry, but I couldn't come up with it.
Okay.
So we have, just put it on a back hidden agenda?
Scheduling future site visits.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so no others at this time to discuss for potential site visits, then?
No, there is, you'll have, or you may have just gotten filing for the next meeting, but with the snow on the ground, I think it's pretty hard to schedule much.
All right. All right, then, well, next we have under 5D, under business items, minutes of January 8th, 2026 meeting. See anything that I looked at that jumped at me?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the minutes of the January 8th, 2026 meeting as drafted.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes carry. All right, and 5E, we have encroachment updates.
So I'll go first. On the matter of Lexington Street, I put on hold the change because the work would be done till the spring, and I've left the contractor alone with the snow plowing going on, and that being the priority. I've left him alone in terms of bugging him. So I will have an answer. He does want to do the change, and I should have an answer for the next meeting.
Good, good. And then,
Do you have any updates on?
So it's been relayed that I'll be the new correspondence for the commissioner, for the commission.
Okay.
I spoke with Attorney Savati, so he's aware of it, so anything going forward, I'll certainly let you know.
all right,
So before we go to the next one, just so we know, thank you for that update. We're just waiting for Attorney Salvati to respond back to the, we do have a letter from the resident regarding a proposed of where he wants to plant the trees, and he wants to plant it on city land. I have supplied to the Attorney Salvati suggested language that says, please move the plants to our side of the to his own property, come off so many inches, and give us the distance apart, so some details. But Attorney Salvati has suggestions from the commission about what should go back. So the open item, I believe, is with the Attorney Salvati to go back to the resident in a rejection of his package that he sent to us in terms of the location of the planting. So we're waiting for that feedback from Mr. Salvati.
I'll follow up, I'll have an answer next meeting.
Thank you, appreciate it.
thank you. All right, and then on final business item 5F, we have Woburn Wetlands Ordinance Update.
Right, so after the previous meeting, I did get some feedback from some commission members, so I provided a new, I think both a clean copy and a red line version. The changes from previous version are designated by highlight, so just wanted to be able to jump off the page. So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at it, if people have comments, then open to them, and if not, if you want to approve that, and we can move forward to the next step.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to accept the clean version, updated, of our Title VII ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes carry.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to personally thank Teresa and Renee for working on these. I know it wasn't easy. This is gonna make a lot of things, I'm sure it's
Hope so.
a lot of streamlined things going forward, so I know it was a lot of work, but it was just, you can just tell by all the red lines.
Yes.
Much appreciated from both of you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
but I think
appreciate that.
Going forward, it better, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Ditto.
All right, I'll keep the members posted. I do have one question for the commission. We did receive a building permit application. It's for 103 Commerce Way. They want to do some interior renovations for a restaurant, and that is interior, so I don't generally deal with that. But there's also some exterior work which involves doing some saw cutting of pavement and creating a grease trap. Now, it's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, but it is within the 150, and I can pass this down if people want to look at it. My question to the commission is whether or not it needs to have a filing of any kind.
Can't tell, where was the, was there a former restaurant there? Was it former Bertucci's or something?
I think it's,
Oh, it's Bob's.
I think it might be Bob.
What about Bob?
Hard to tell. It's not in floodplain or anything, right?
I do not believe it's in floodplain, so I think it's just buffer zone, but I don't really know what the other businesses are there.
I'm not too familiar with the grease traps. The grease traps are okay to be were they subsurface? I wasn't sure if there's anything there with Superfund or anything.
I don't think that this
Out of that.
is, I don't think this comes under the Class B soils. That's a
Okay.
good question, though. I'll check that. But I don't think it does there.
I'm okay with just doing the work without any kind of permits
Does everybody?
from us.
Okay, does everybody agree with that?
I am.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, then I will check to see if it's a Class B soil, otherwise I'll sign off on it. Okay, thank you.
Great. That's said and done?
Mr. Acting Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?